2 mil. Oh my god, look at the damage. What the fuck? But he was glass cannon though, right? And make 141. We used 2.4 million, the tankiest guy in the fucking match. So today's video is focused all around the Regulus, both when it comes to PvP and PvE build. I have a few different versions when it comes to PvP. As you could see in the early footage here, you can actually one-shot everyone with that Regulus PvP build. And it's also amazing when it comes to PvE. So we quickly want to cover the Regulus. It's a raid exotic, so you only can get it from the Iron Horse raid. I will put a link in the description if you want to learn how to get it. Make sure you get damage to target out of cover. And the talent on it is called the Regicide. So headshot kills create a 5-meter explosion, which deals 400% weapon damage and apply bleed to all enemies hit. On top of that, it hits like a truck, like super high damage when it comes to headshots. Worth to note as well is that if you knock somebody in PvP, you can just shoot them in the head and they will explode. And you can actually kill people that way as well. As I say many times when it comes to specialization, you can really choose whatever you want in most cases. I do prefer Technician when it comes to this build or pistol builds, because you do get another skill tier, which makes your shield a bit stronger. So in terms for PvP, you could swap the Firewall if you want to have the 200% health and armor kit, right, over 10 seconds. But it's pretty much up to you what you want to run. So if we start with the PvE build, this is how I've been running it the most. So we have the mask Punch Drunk, which is a named one. So 20% headshot damage is the unique thing. Otherwise, it only goes to 10%. And when it comes to attributes, you want to have weapon damage and armor, of course, as the core attribute. But secondary attributes, you want to have headshot damage everywhere. And then as a secondary priority, weapon handling to get faster reload, accuracy, and all that as well. The chest piece, we're using Chain Killer here, which is named Walker and Harris. So weapon damage, weapon handling, headshot damage, also modding headshot damage, right? Because that's #1 priority. So perfect headhunter, just an easy way to get higher headshots. So just make sure you kill a weaker mob first and then just go for the high end and you will just one-shot all day. Holster, you don't have to use this holster though, but it's pretty nice to have. And the damage should be pretty good anyway. So it's the Dodge City Gunslinger holster. And I also do have a video on my channel how to get it, so I can put that in the description. So weapon handling, weapon damage, headshot damage. It's not mandatory though, so keep that in mind. You could swap that for Picaro, which I mean, I'm a big lover of Picaro, because you get weapon damage and armor, and then you have headshot damage. So the only thing you lose here for this build is weapon handling. So actually insanely good for this build. So you can either use Dodge City Gunslinger holster or Picaro, whatever you feel like. Backpack, I do have the named Gift, which is also a Dark Zone exclusive item. The only difference is that it's 3 seconds cooldown on the buff if they hit you instead of 4. And usually I don't really like to run Vigilance, especially when it comes to PvP. But when you're running a pistol, you can run the big Bulwark Shield. So then it makes a lot of sense, because if they hit the shield, you still keep it up. So it's extremely easy to keep Vigilance up when you have pistol, and also Providence for the headshot damage. Using Contractor Gloves, which are named gloves, that gives you damage to armor. Since there's not too many brand sets that are actually good for this, I decided to go Contractor Gloves, right, just for the damage to armor. We only want headshot damage. We lose weapon handling, but we gain damage to armor, so pretty good one right there. Same thing with the Fox Prayers as well. Damage to target out of cover, which is, it just works amazing for this build. And since we have both Fox Prayers and LMG gloves, you could just equip a LMG and a rifle and have that as a secondary, and that will be pretty good damage too. If you want to, I haven't really played it that much, but Memento should be able to work pretty well as well if you don't want to depend on Vigilance. And that will give you pretty good survivability. You get a red, you get a blue, you get a yellow, everything benefiting your shield build, right? So that will give you more effective HP, a stronger shield, and also damage. And since the headshot damage build, you don't really lose too much. You lose the 10% headshot damage here, and of course Vigilance. Vigilance being pretty huge though, but you do get quite a bit of damage here and survivability. So that's also a way to run it. If we look at the skills, so I think the Bulwark Shield is a no-brainer. We're playing pistol. We can have a big shield that just gives us more effective HP. This secondary, of course, up to you, but I do prefer Revive Hive when it comes to PvE. If you don't really want that or feel like you need that, maybe use Pulse, Decoy. But I think Revive Hive and the Bulwark Shield is just the way to go. We take a look at the PvP builds. So we can start first with the Pistol Boom build, which is just full on damage for PvP. So we still have the same punch strength one. This one should be red, okay? So imagine this is a red. And then headshot damage, weapon handling. You guys already know that. We just go through this one really quick with the changes. No Picaro, so we're using Hasberg instead for the 15% headshot damage there. We have a Walker and Harris for the weapon damage and Vigilance. And the reason we don't use Gift here is because we're using Sacrifice, right? So perfect Glass Cannon, which gives you 30% amplified damage, so 30% more damage, literally. And then Contractor Gloves again with headshot damage and Fox Prayers once again. So quite similar to the PvE build, of course, just that we go everything on red. So imagine 6 red and also Glass Cannon. Is this build good? No. Is this build fun? Most of the time, no. But when you actually one-shot and just get that going, it's extremely fun. But this build I would call on the floor build, because most of the time you're gonna be on the floor. And they can even one-shot melee you if you have this build equipped. It's one of those builds, if you play a lot, you can make it look good, but most of the time, it's gonna be really hard to play it because you're so squishy. And since you have 6 red and Glass Cannon, the shield is gonna get destroyed insanely quick. But also, most people see the shield and they don't think it's gonna be that weak, so it might work in the beginning. On top of that, when I did play this, to actually one-shot everyone, you need to have a teammate that have the healer set that gives you more damage. Or what I like the most is to have a teammate that running ongoing directive that gives you the bleed bullets, right, for additional damage. So if you have an ongoing directive teammate that gives you that, you can just one-shot people to the head no matter what, hitting over 2 million hits. I guess we can check the more proper build before we go into PvP skills. So this is the version I've been using in PvP. I'm not gonna click up everything. So we have Punch Strength, we have Hasberg for the headshot damage, and Unbreakable actually. We have Picaro, of course, because it's amazing for headshot damage builds. Fox Prayers, Contractors, and Gift with Perfect Vigilance. I can't exactly remember now what they usually run. I think I've been running this with 2 to 4 blues, and this one obviously I have 3, but I think 4 might actually be okay, because you want to be able to 2-tap most people, so 3 or 4 is what I would recommend. 2-shot most people, some tanky people you will 3-tap, but that's fine. When it comes to the skills, of course the Bulwark Shield we're gonna use. In PvP, I like to run Pulse, especially in Dark Zone. But in Dark Zone, of course, you could use Decoy as well. It's kind of up to you. When it comes to PvP, we're gonna run the Bulwark Shield, no question about that, especially with this one when we have some blues. On the damage-oriented one, you can actually skip that and run something else, but I think it's still good to have it. The first skill though, I've been running in Conflict. Pulse have such a long cooldown, so I like to run Defender Drone. Since we have a decently tanky shield and we have 3-4 blues, we're gonna have decent effective HP, so the damage reduction from the drone will actually do something. So pretty good. If you don't want to run drone, you can of course run Pulse. In Dark Zone, you can also run Decoy, right? There's a lot of options of what you can run. And also in PvP, I have been running Technician, but as I said, you can swap it to Firewall. But it's also nice trying to get a tanker shield, right? It's tier 4 here and tier 5 if you have additional blue. But that covers the Regulus builds. I will most likely have a PvP video with some Regulus gameplay, mainly from Conflict. So make sure you subscribe to see that, and I see you guys on my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/widdz or on the next YouTube video.